The Regional Center for Mapping of Resources for Development, Rcmrd, was established in Nairobi, Kenya in 1975 under the auspices of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA.
The main purpose was really to have a center of excellence to support member states in mapping and understanding the natural resources that were deemed critical for the national development agendas that all these countries were embarked on.
It is a non-profit intergovernmental organization and currently has 20 contracting member states in Eastern and Southern African region. Our vision is to be a premier center of excellence in the provision of geo-information and allied technology for sustainable development in the member states and other stakeholders. Further, Rcmrd's mission is to strengthen the member states and our stakeholders' capacity through generation, application, and dissemination of geo-information and allied technologies for sustainable development.
The center has been performing this role mainly through capacity building, backstopping national mapping institutions in project implementation, advisory services on new technological developments, repair, servicing and calibrating of surveying equipment in these member states, as well as research and development to inform any current issues that member states bring forward.
Capacity building of member states and stakeholders is one of the core functions of Rcmrd.
What we're able to deliver here from the center, I think traditionally the center started off providing surveying and mapping solutions or interventions. But today, looking at the scope of services that we provide, we cut across the entire industry in terms of meeting the expectations of different governments. In all areas where you have people involved, there are topical issues to deal with climate change, to deal with food security, and clearly our scope and our responsibility as a center has been widened.
Data Provision Office is the link between Rcmrd, its stakeholders, and member states. The office is tasked with marketing and dissemination of new, stored, archived, raw and processed data.
Either commercial or open source, so that this data users are able to access it.
Rcmrd acquires data from various platforms. The MODIS receiving station receives data from several satellites, ranging from optical data satellites such as MODIS Terra and Aqua to weather data satellites such as Meteop and NPP. Once downloaded by the receiver, the data is then stored in the servers where it's automatically processed every day at 11 p.m. to generate various products that can be shared to users for informed decision making.
All this data that we receive, whether it's open source or commercial, we disseminate to the users. We have very many different users. We have internally, we have several sections here. So when they need the data, we provide this for them. We have research organizations in Kenya, not only in Kenya, and also to the member states.
Some of the generated products include the fire monitor data, water quality products, frost monitoring data. Rcmrd is proud to have a vibrant certified engineering department that is capable of repairing, calibrating, and restoring surveying equipment for governments, private organizations, and its member states.
We have different types of machines. We do have our levels, we do have deodorites, we do have total stations, and we do have GPS systems.
Accurate geospatial data is very important. Apart from having top-notch scientists and data technicians, having perfectly working equipment is key in getting timely, accurate, and reliable data.
We ensure that all the surveying equipment they have are well serviced and calibrated to the manufacturer's specification for the work of those countries to be able to be done well, because the geospatial data is very important for any development country.
While this equipment are critical in mapping and surveying work, they are also expensive to procure. With severe shortage of service centers for the equipment, Rcmrd's engineering workshop gives regionally recognized services that saves users considerably large amounts of money. The high effective team is capable of handling general service, updating applications and software, and equipment calibration. Training by the center is primarily conducted on two fronts, namely technical trainings by the Technical Service Directorate Geoinformation Training Unit and academic trainings by Regional Center Training Institute RCTI. In addition, a number of projects implemented by Rcmrd also provide thematic training to member states and stakeholders.
In RCTI, we have the modern facilities and the very well equipped and very good equipment, whereby for the purpose of practicals, we make sure that our students go through the actual practicals and the best way they can be able to do it. So we have equipment, the modern equipment, we have things like RTK, we have several total stations, and we also make sure that our students, despite that they are going to share, we make sure that our student can be able to have his own or her own equipment.
First of all, I had a look at the equipment. It's quite advanced, up-to-date equipment. They've got a variety of courses, and yeah, I just like the attitude they work with.
Rcmrd capacity, partnership with universities and organizations, Technical Services Directorate Geoinformation Training Unit, Regional Center Training Institute, project-based training, for example, Server, Eastern and Southern Africa GMEs, academic trainings, diploma, certificate, short courses accredited by Kenya National Exams Council, thematic training and project-specific.
There is a demand of GIS, more especially in the industry that I'm doing at the moment, and because of that demand is why the company took a decision to take me here, so that they need someone with these qualifications. I am doing cartography and GIS.
The Land Use Land Cover Service provides government with data, tools and capacity development that triggers interventions, actions and decisions on issues related to the changing land uses and negatively affecting the environment in various ways.
Land cover data is a fundamental data set that each and every country should have. Not data that was done 30 years ago, but current periodic data. Because land keeps changing, and you need to ensure that as it changes, you understand what is happening in your land.
It provides a scientific base upon which such decisions are made to ensure that land resources are continuously monitored and alarming changes can be flagged out and necessary action taken by the relevant authorities.
We have governments that have even adopted the data that we've created as national data. So the Kenyan government is in that process of basically endorsing all the data that was created through the partnership I mentioned to be part of the national data set, such that anyone in the country who requires land cover data for Kenya always refers to the same data.
Land cover data is created through analysis of Earth observation data to extract land features desired for management or monitoring purposes.
Now, AFREF is an idea of the African Union to ensure that the whole of African countries have one uniform reference frame to help in coordination of all mapping activities in their countries.
Within Africa, countries have been using different reference frame for their mapping and surveying operations. And what we find is that when different reference frames are used, the maps that are produced or the data that is produced is usually not compatible across the different countries. One of the initiatives that has been overseen by Rcmrd is to have a common reference frame for the whole of Africa, and we call it the Africa Reference Frame.
Monitoring in-season crop conditions is highly relevant for assessing the food security situation and promoting action to mitigate adverse outcomes in largely rain-fed agricultural systems.
in monitoring the crop conditions through a collaboration with the GeoGlam team in the University of Maryland. We have been developing the crop monitors that have been implemented at the regional and at the national levels. Crop monitors actually provide a streamlined process for the countries, especially for developing countries, to develop quick and actionable information and summaries which are synthesized into bulletins that depict the crop conditions and the drivers to less unfavorable conditions. And the crop monitor actually provides the Ministries of Agriculture with information such as the condition of the crop through indicators such as NDVI and rainfall. And this information, when combined with field reports from the extension officers, actually provide very important synthesis for understanding the crop conditions.
In Kenya, the monthly bulletin that synthesizes information generated from the crop monitor are already influencing agricultural decision-making. Monitoring the spread of disease and pests such as the fall armyworm, assessing the implication of extreme events such as floods and droughts on production, providing expected trends based on the prevailing conditions and the expected yield outlook at the end of the season. Through the bulletin, the government has also been able to assess the impact of subsidies on production, monitor market responses, and as an early warning report to prompt for mitigation.
So we work on 3 areas: on land degradation, monitoring and assessment, on wetlands, monitoring and assessment, and open geographic reference vector database. So we are supporting member states on that and related activities. Our plan is to upload in our geoportal, so those countries, any researcher, anyone can benefit from that one, download and use for his own research, analysis. We make the communities aware about the land degradation, about the wetlands depleting, so they'll be part of it. Not only that, even another beneficiary group are decision makers.
Climate variability poses a big challenge to society, environment, and economy in many countries around the world. In Africa, the climatic variability normally leads to drought and floods, which affect many people, mainly due to low adaptive capacity. These disasters have been increasingly particular in East Africa, and most of the countries often lack sufficient data, efficient tools, and adequate skills to inform and develop measures to help protect their citizens from the flood and drought impacts.
Climate data that's also coming from weather observations. And what we do then is to integrate that data with other kind of observations, like those that are coming from household surveys. We integrate them and develop solutions like in form of maps, in form of tools that can address developmental challenges that are related to the climate risks that we are experiencing in the member states.
To address this problem, Rcmrd is involved in various initiatives to develop capacity in its member states to promote the resilience of populations against disaster impacts. For instance, through the Survey Eastern and Southern African project, Rcmrd participated in a USAID-funded project known as Planning for Resilience in East Africa through policy, adaptation, research and economic development, prepared and developed vulnerability hotspot maps for the 5 Eastern African countries. These vulnerability hotspot maps allow both governments and non-governmental decision makers to prioritize areas of resilient building interventions. For example, the Lake Victoria Basin Commission used the vulnerability hotspot maps to secure funding of $5 million to implement community-level focused climate adaptation projects in the Lake Victoria Basin. Overall, the use of Earth observation together with household-level survey data from statistic offices has presented an opportunity for government and donor agencies to provide assistance to the most vulnerable areas.
So we develop articles and post them online. We also do a strong social media advocacy, especially on Twitter and Facebook. Then we also do YouTube clips that we share about what the center is all about and the work that we do here at Rcmrd.
Rcmrd will continue to offer its support to disaster risk reduction and climate resilience initiatives in the member states.
Yeah, besides the member states, of course, we have other partners and stakeholders. Notable among them is NASA, the National Space Administration Agency in the US, through which we have a program called Seville. We have other key partners for whom we are implementing projects in different areas, and we treasure our cooperation with them. Over time, of course, the center has changed its orientation. While initially it was more focused on technical aspects of measuring and surveying, today we are more focused on how we apply those measurements to improve the lives of the people in these countries.